એ હાલો રે હાલો,
માયકા વાણી ચાલુ થવાની છે. ના તારી છે ના મારી છે, માયકા વાણી આપણી છે. આ મનની બોલી છે, આ મનની બોલી છે. ના તારી છે ના મારી છે, માયકા વાણી આપણી છે.
આપણી છે.
ના તારી છે ના મારી છે, માયકા વાણી આપણી છે. આ મનની બોલી છે.
માયકા વાણી 90.4 FM.
नमस्ते, आपका स्वागत है हमारे शो में. मैं हूं आरजे तुषार
और मैं हूँ आरजे इशिता और हम हैं मायका वाणी, द कम्युनिटी रेडियो स्टेशन एट मायका. सो तुषार, शो स्टार्ट करने से पहले आई वांट टू शो यू समथिंग.
या श्योर.
एक मिनट. हाँ,
या
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go.
वो ये क्या था? दिस वाज सो कूल. व्हाट इज दिस?
I know, right? This is the day in the life of a photographer.
ओह, फोटोग्राफर. ये तो काफी कूल है. मतलब फोटोग्राफी एज अ करियर एंड व्हाट दे डू एंड एवरीथिंग. मुझे तो पता भी नहीं था कि व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ वर्क दैट दे डू एंड दिस इज एवरीथिंग दैट दे डू.
मुझे भी नहीं मालूम था, क्वाइट ऑनेस्टली. बट आई टेल यू ऑनेस्टली, ओके, मुझे तो ये भी नहीं पता था कि फोटोग्राफी एक करियर पाथ और एक करियर ऑप्शन हो सकता है.
ओह, सो हाउ डज इट वर्क? मतलब व्हाट डू दीस पीपल डू? इनका करियर कैसे होता है? फोटोग्राफर बनने तक क्या करते हैं एंड व्हाट हैपेंस आफ्टर दैट एंड एवरीथिंग? व्हाट डज दैट हैपन?
सो ग्लैड यू आस्क्ड दैट, क्योंकि आज हमारे गेस्ट हमें यही सब और बहुत कुछ बताने वाले हैं, क्योंकि वो खुद एक प्रोफेशनल फोटोग्राफर हैं. और जो वीडियो अभी हमने देखा ना, वो उनका ही है.
ओह, ओके, काफी इंटरेस्टिंग. दिस इज ग्रेट. सो लेट्स गेट देम ऑन.
Sure. So let's welcome our extremely talented guest, Mihir, on the show.
Perfect. Can you see me?
Yes. We can.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome Mir. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi. Hello.
Great, yeah, Mihir. So we just saw your video और तुषार और मैं और मतलब हमारे सारे viewers को बहुत सारे questions है honestly. But let's start small. So why don't you actually
Okay.
tell us what you do right now? Like, what is it that you do?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for having me, guys. This is something I would love to do, and it's a pleasure to be here. So, okay, what do I do? I am a commercial photographer. I'm also a commercial slash advertising photographer. So I do a lot of ads. So basically, all the posters that you see in print media, on hoardings, on social media, and everything that goes into advertising. So I shoot for those images. I work with a lot of celebs. I work with just a lot of people to make images that, well, you see on the screen, quite literally. So yeah,
Correct, correct, correct.
that's what I do. So
That
what would you want
sounds
to know?
yeah, that sounds really really cool. So what we want to know, तो हम normally ये अपने हम सारे guests को पूछते ही हैं. So we'll continue with the main
Okay,
question that we have कि बचपन
correct.
में how did you find out कि you want to do photography? How did you figure out stuff कि you want to go
Mm-hmm.
into this?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, see, I think every one of us is a photographer. Everyone does take pictures. We live in a world that's Instagram. All up, all of us, हम सब ने, we have started out clicking pictures on the small Nokia phones that we've had, and we've been on that journey where 2 megapixel से लेके whatever fancy iPhone you have now, everyone's been there. So how has my journey been? So my journey began जब बचपन में I used to get films. तो film का roll आता था. You used to have 36 shots in it. I had one family camera. Nobody, really. Okay, event पे you used to click pictures. Birthday. I think we've all had pictures where first birthday, second birthday. It's a color film पे there was a guy who used to take pictures. So that is how I started. And then I wanted to click pictures. That was about it. मेरे को मजा आता था. This is something that I would do happily for quite some time. Was the plan. It was more of a hobby. So in my spare time, I used to click pictures of plants, trees, go on safaris. So that is how photography started. And so it was majorly a hobby. So every Sunday, I used to go on the nearest hill to my house, next to my house. So it was more of nature and wildlife photography, which I wanted to get into at some point in time because वो दुनिया में कुछ अलग था.
Hmm.
This was never the plan, but yeah, I mean, that is how it started.
Okay, wow, that sounds great. But I have like a question, ठीक है? तो क्या मेरे
Yes,
पास
please.
एक प्रोफेशनल कैमरा होना जरूरी है to start exploring this field of photography? I know काफी
Absolutely
basic.
not.
No?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll tell you why. So when you're shooting, like I started with a 35 mm film camera, where कभी दिखता नहीं था. Resolution, image quality, shutter speed, all the details that go in photography were never even discussed. You started out with doing, like I started out with doing what looks nice और जो अच्छा नहीं दिखता है. As simple as that. So do you need a camera? Not at all. कभी भी नहीं. And honestly, we have that kind of access to cameras abhi. Every cell phone does amazing pictures. Sabke paas there is a cell phone. Everybody can do pictures. It's just a little bit of things that need to be inside you to really go out and explore this. You can start like absolutely. It's not gear dependent at all.
Correct. So I think इससे मैं ये infer किया कि more than the camera, आदमी का like the spirit is more important
Absolutely,
and the
absolutely.
yeah, correct,
I
correct,
think a
correct. I
little
think
bit of
that is
will. I think a little bit of will is also important because if you
Mhm.
want to like every picture is 1,000 words and all of that. But uh, जरूरी है कि just focus, start doing what you really like, start doing what feels right with whatever you have. I mean, my first camera was 3.5 megapixels, which was a big DSL.
Mm-hmm.
Not सबके पास नहीं होता है. Everybody should not have that. It's simple. Everybody has a phone that can click pictures, and you should.
Correct.
Mhm.
So how did you manage all this, like with studying and everything? So in the
Okay,
initial
so
phase. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so in the initial phases, what I used to do is see, very honestly, I come from a very middle class kind of a family where photography and money for photography was never available. था ही नहीं.
Mm-hmm.
Simple.
Yeah.
Film पे 20-20, 40-40 shots मारना was not possible. So every time I used to do like, so every Diwali present I've saved every bit of money that I could save and put it into photography because that was something that was bigger than a present for me. That was something that became a part of me where, I want to do this and there's a cost associated to it. So how do you manage? So like I said, school, I started clicking when I was 5. So school was there, homework karna tha, bahut natak. I mean, there was a lot of things going on. But I think every week I tried taking about 5 to 10 pictures. So many में I used to add this modest budget of me. I have to take 36 pictures in a month.
Mm.
Simple. So that was how I started, and just kept doing that. So one fine day, I was like, I think I should get a camera now again. So that is how I started building up the gear. Finally, when it became a little more serious, that what do you want to do with your life, then I was like, I think this is what I would do without thinking about the other aspects of things.
Wow, that is, I mean, we never knew ki, you were so passionate about photography, but clearly, however, tell us about that moment where वो एक clarity of thought आता है ना कि यही करना है. I'm sure कि you like doing it, but then that moment is there where
Correct,
you're like,
correct,
this is what I want to do. So tell us about your
correct,
thought
correct,
process.
correct, correct. Okay, so like I said, photography was a hobby for me. I was not into commercial photography. I was not into advertising photography. What I wanted to do was click nice pictures, they that look good, and probably after some time you could, show it to people. So that was the thought process behind it. I was studying in computers. I have a computers degree in it. So by the time I was heading for my masters, I knew that, I was going to go and do for the masters, like an MBA or whatever you want to call it, masters in computers.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that one moment, I was like, okay, this is something that I like. Okay, I'm good at it. I can do it. I would enjoy doing this. But what was that more thing that, what? I will do it irrespective of what education I have, what financial situation I am in. I would do it irrespective. I think by the time I was entering that course, I was nahi, I just want to do photography. And okay, then what kind of photography? That was my next. Okay, so okay, I can do wildlife, I can do landscapes, I can do travel, I can do so the kind of photography things that are involved. I mean, it's such a big world in photography as well. So I think that was a changing point where I could do this all my life without really worrying on where I'm delivering, how it will happen. It just keeps happening naturally. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Somewhat? Yeah. Perfect.
Wow, that's nice. So Ishita also told me that you've done a course in Amsterdam. So tell us more about
Yes.
that course. How did you get into that and everything around it?
Okay. Okay. So what after making the decision, again, I'm going to roll back a little bit.
Yeah.
After making this decision of, I want to do photography. So how do I explore these photography? I mean, photography as a subject. Which part do I want to be in? So starting from wildlife to maybe landscapes, I explored every inch of it. Then I realized that I like shooting people. So I enjoy people. I enjoy shooting stills. I enjoy shooting food. I enjoy absolutely my food. I love shooting food. So now, it became a little more apparent that you know what, let's focus and study in this, because coming from a hobby photographer to someone who's getting into it for the money aspect of it, plus the fun aspect of it, I got into it because of the fun. Money becomes secondary at this point in time, because you just keep doing what you love. So yeah, so I started taking a lot of pictures. I started sending out my profile. That is how one should go about it, if I have to tell anyone. You start taking good pictures, you start approaching people, you tell them ki, this is how I am and this is what I want to do. I got a lot of rejections in the first couple of starting period, where it was nobody cared. I mean, it's as simple. Nobody was, really willing to pay you and just a lot of things. So yeah, so after that, I started building my portfolio, which became more of a fashion portfolio. And I think the video that you just saw was one of my fashion shoots, which I wanted to do for an editorial magazine. So that is that. So I started shooting stories. I wanted to create my stories. I wanted to have a certain kind of direction to my pictures. So that is how the process started. Then by making this change, I started making pictures in that direction. For example, the longing series that I have on my website, that became more of a storyline. So you build a story, you shoot a project, you put it out. That is how my process was. Finally, when this process started going ahead, like I had 20, 30 projects in mind, like they were actually translated into pictures. I applied for a master's in filmmaking and photography in Amsterdam. So my portfolio was good enough. One, second, they had seen my work from being a hobby photographer to a professional photographer. So that changes. That changes a lot of things, and they because once you start applying to these institutions, you really have to put your heart into it. Just, they will know when it's right or it's not. So that is how I applied for the course, and well, I got in. I got a scholarship.
Great. So why don't you tell us a little more about these colleges that our viewers and listeners, they can also look for a few
Correct,
colleges.
correct. So correct. So I think there's a couple of colleges that I absolutely know, and one of them is in India, of course. It's in Pune. It goes by the name of Bharati Vidyapeeth School of Photography, where I did another master's before going to Amsterdam in photography, and they have different kinds of courses for all kinds of people. So I think they had, when I was there, which is a couple of years back, but they had a couple of courses for a month, 2 months, 3 months, going up to a master's full-fledged degree. So they even have, I think, a MFA program or BFA program now, which is more of a structured kind of a program. So one option is to go there. I mean, obviously. Then there's different colleges. There is SEMA-DO, there is Symbiosis. There's a quite a lot of colleges that you can get a BFA degree. A BFA degree is called a Bachelor of Fine Arts, which is and a specialization in photography, of course. So that can be a starting point if someone is really, really interested. Because I think, and I genuinely believe that a little bit of formal education, it's not a lot. It's uh, a little bit of formal education is going to take you places, because it really shows you a different path altogether, where how do you make photography into your business? How do you approach clients? How do you write emails? How do you make quotations? How do you pitch projects? So that everything of that sort really comes from a formal kind of an institution. But then again, I think this is what has stayed with me for all my after my college years. I mean, it's like you have to learn the rules to really break them. So when you're going them, when you're going about it, a formal system is a very good way to go. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. So this field matlab, is quite vast. Matlab, there are, I think, a lot of options once you get out of those courses. So, और क्या क्या
Correct,
courses
correct,
होते हैं in this? Like,
correct.
what
So
else can you
once
get in?
correct.
Mhm.
See, it's the course is more of you putting it in. मतलब आपका effort कितना दे रहे हो, आपका time कितना दे रहे हो, how many hours of work are you delivering is the
Mhm.
simple way of putting it. That is one part of it. Uh, Apart from not being in a course, I know so many people जिन्होंने अपने they've learned by watching. Four of my assistants have not done any degree. They have not invested that kind of time. Yet they are as good as photographers as I am probably, but they have done it through their experience. They have put in 5, 6 years of consistent work in doing this. So there's another that's another way of learning, which even I did after doing my course. I was assisting a couple of photographers, and so there's a lot of photographers that I assisted. So even in Amsterdam, I assisted one of the world's top five. He's one of the top photographers in the world who shoots on film and glass plates. Nobody in India does that. Hardly, I mean, there's very few people who do that. So assisting is another way of really getting your game strong in photography,
Mhm.
where you could come and assist people. You can ask senior photographers. You can now we have so much access. I mean, I met a lot of senior photographers on Instagram. It's quite weird. But apne paas, when we have these tools, we should utilize these tools and ask them.
Hmm.
I'm absolutely sure every photographer would want someone to come and see his work, learn from him, and you can learn from 10 other people. It's not ki you are associated with one person, so you have to adopt that style. Aisa hi karna hai. It's not that way. So I think once you get out of college, assisting is the way to go because it will teach you what. See, college will teach you how it's done, and assisting someone would really आपको वो सिखाएगा कि how do you really go and be in the world, how do you make your niche, how do you make your mark, how do you start painting yourself, how do you so there's a lot of things that you learn in this journey,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I think assisting would be a good way to think about it. That's what I did.
That's quite insightful actually. और just can you tell us like कौन से type of photography होते हैं और after finishing my degree in photography, what are the different fields that I can get into? Uh,
Correct.
photography.
So yeah, absolutely. So okay, there is one if you have or have don't have a degree. I mean, one way of going about it is there's 6 to 7 major categories with finer specializations. So there is, for example, fashion. So fashion photography is entirely different than what we understand. Fashion photography is more about clothes. It's a little less about people. It's more about clothes. It's about design. It's about more of how it's draped. So fashion goes into that department. People, there's another category of people photography or fashion cross people photography, where that is where I come in, to be very honest. So when you want to shoot Amitabh Bachchan, for example, when you want to shoot Amitabh Bachchan for Tata Sky ka advertisement, all the pamphlets that you see. So it is actually a person's picture for a brand. So that can be called people or fashion. That's what they call fashion in India. But that is another avenue. Then there is food photography, which I have a specialization in, food and stills. So I studied that further with major focuses on how food, what food, textures of food, how do you light up food, how do you light up glasses, and just I mean a lot of other things. So food photography is another way to go about it. Product is coming up majorly in India. So everything that you swipe on your screens is a picture taken by someone, quite literally, at some point in time. So products is another big aspect of photography, which ranges. So again, like I said, this is a wide field. So when I say products, it ranges from Bonvita, and just as for example, I mean, from Bonvita ka dabba to, I don't know, the biggest jewelry brand you've heard of, Kalyan Jewelers, for example.
Hmm.
So, so the scope is so vast. It is absolutely on a very personal note that what would you want to do? For example, probably you've heard of this photographer named Raghu Rai.
Yeah, yeah.
He's yeah, so he is a journalist photographer and he's a very senior photographer.
Um,
And it was a great pleasure to meet him in Delhi. So yeah, we kind of had a great time. I mean, I met him in an exhibition. He was there. Here we had a great chat, and it was amazing. So that is another way to go about it. It's called photojournalism.
okay.
So all the previous things that I told you about are commercial aspects of it,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
there is even photojournalism is commercial. So you get to work with a lot of print media, which is Times of India, which is Bennett and Coleman. There's so many. There's magazines. There is travel magazines. So I shoot a little bit of travel as well. So if 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 you've heard of a lot of magazines, they also hire photographers to really travel and shoot places. But then you need to shoot 200 places before you approach these guys. So you 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 just can't say, I want to work for Lonely Planet now and I've shot my home. You can't.
Okay.
They will not even probably, and Lonely Planet is just for example again.
Right.
Correct,
So
correct.
yeah, that's another way to go about photography. What else? I mean, it's just so vast. I mean, I know people who have been shooting for Instagram accounts. So an XX person or an XX brand wants me to endorse their Instagram, so they have hired me to shoot their pictures because my pictures are good.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is another way that you can go about it. But I think that is a little bit of what I would genuinely not appreciate because it becomes very casual. You're not you get you're competing with someone with an iPhone, quite literally.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. Right.
And no hard feelings for the
yeah,
iPhone guys.
yeah.
I mean, marmat do.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely. There are
So,
so many fields. I didn't know of all these. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, so many. Yeah.
No, and the way I look at it now, just
Mhm.
very simply, as every day, when all of us, अपन when हम हमारे दोस्तों के साथ बाहर जाते हैं, it is
Mhm.
very simple that we go and click pictures every single day. Every restaurant that we go to, every time we meet a person, every small thing that we do. Look at our own Instagrams where you're putting out things that becomes a process of you. So
Mhm.
just doing it a little nicely, waiting, things like that.
mhm.
So yeah, that's that.
So I mean, ये तो like it's quite like insightful whatever you told us. But
Hmm.
now that our viewers who are here, if they are
Yeah.
aspiring to become photographers, so what is that one last tip, advice that you would like to give them to make to do well in this field?
Hmm. I think I the biggest advice that I've ever got, and I would always say this, is that just keep clicking. You as individuals have it in you. It is absolutely natural. Nobody who is going to teach you what is nice, what is not. You see a bad picture, you instantly realize this is not a good picture. So I think just keep doing, keep shooting till you feel right. And I think a little bit of attention when you're clicking a picture, a little bit of tweaking, being in light, basic. How is the light falling on your image? Understanding windows. Because घर में तो everybody has a window. So matlab any window light that is coming in, observing a little bit. But I think that comes up when you're clicking a lot. You start realizing those things. So I think the biggest advice is just keep clicking. And for someone who's starting out, get better at your craft before you ask clients, before you start, before you run after the money. You run after the craft, the money happens. The travel, all the fun travel that I do, all the fun shoots that I do. Obviously, I do a lot of commercial shoots, but all the fun in my life is genuinely because my craft is good. So I think just focusing on your craft, on taking that one picture right in that moment, in that, spending time on it is the biggest advice I think that I can give anyone.
Correct, correct, correct. Wow. This session was genuinely very insightful. Learning about basics, learning about passion, learning about
Correct.
what you.
And I think,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you out, but yeah, I
No,
think
no.
just doing what you genuinely love is,
Mhm.
it should, when people want to say that they want to be a photographer, it shouldn't be for all the extras that you have. It should not be for the fame. It should not be for being cool. It should not be for really, like, I'm a photographer from today. ये बोलने के लिए is very easy. Once you're out there, it's a very bad, very harsh, competitive world where
Yeah,
designers and anyone is going to be like, this is my phone. I can do a better picture than you.
that.
So so I think it's very important to really, really push yourself
Mhm.
and just keep clicking pictures. You will meet the right people and ask for advice. I'm so sorry, I couldn't tell that. Ask people, talk to people, approach photographers. Please, I mean, that is if you like someone's work, go say that, I love your picture. How can I do it? How did you do it? What is like have conversations like these. I think that was one of my biggest helps that I've ever got.
Correct, correct, correct. So even for the viewers, जो जैसे मीर ने बोला, if you want any advice, you can obviously post down
Oh yeah,
in the
please.
comment section. Mir will be able to help you. You can do that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm.
So this is generally very insightful. Mihir, thank you for telling us about this career path. This was very, very insightful.
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, quite
Pleasure. It's a
literally.
pleasure to be here.
Yeah. I mean, it was quite literally like this is the point of our show, to bring new career paths. There are so many respectful careers. And I mean, it was just great having you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mihir.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, I mean, whoever wants to, get started, find me wherever you want to, you know where to find me. I mean, I have an Instagram and whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll definitely
Perfect. We'll
tag
put that
you.
in the
Yeah.
yeah. We can definitely do
Perfect.
that. So yeah, in the end again, I would like to एक बार मैं अपने viewers से वापस बात करना चाहूंगा कि like इसी तरह हमने photography लाया. अगली बार आपको कौन सा career चाहिए, क्या चाहिए, just put it down in the comment section. You can DM on Instagram. तो हम उनको भी लेके आएंगे. मिहिर का भी हम Instagram handle share कर देंगे comments में. And अगर आपको और कुछ भी चाहिए तो please
Yes.
let us know.
And if you like our video, please like and subscribe to our channel. And हम फिर
Yeah,
next week
be
मिलेंगे.
nice, everyone. Please, let's appreciate each other. We've had a very nice year, anyways.
Yes, super nice. Yeah. Chalo, thank you so much,
Okay,
everyone. Bye.
chalo. See ya. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
એ હાલો રે હાલો
માયકાવાણી ચાલુ થવાની છે. ના તારી છે ના મારી
Maika Vani 90.4 FM.